Hi friends, and welcome to patch 3.14 Ultimatum. So this time around, I'm playing an elemental hit raider that is based around fire conversion, using the combat-focused jewels to focus all of the damage into fire effects. We then get a bunch of bow nodes and crit strike multi, along with life and mana leech and various other things. So you see crit strike, life and evasion, lots of cluster jewels that are focused around the idea of attack speed, mana leech, that kind of stuff. We have the full sort of double cluster setup, but don't actually use smalls, right? And so we only use one set of mediums with crit chances are very effective. But basically we're juicing up our crit chance and getting pretty tanky. You can see here that I'm using the tankier of the two raider setups. So basically taking permanent onslaught and avatar the chase. So you have like 150% effectiveness of your onslaught and then just tons of evasion there. And then quartz of fusion, so permanent phasing, along with a bunch of sort of blind and like various other things like that. So in terms of our gear, so we're only 94 as you saw there. That's because I'm old and slow and standing things. But basically, because of our gear, generally we're just trying to juice up elemental hit, right? So you have, actually, this is a good call. I'm glad I did this video because I need to switch these elemental hits for bossing. Yeah, let's go to this guy. So we have two elemental hit setups, as you're seeing here, right? Like we have Barrage, which fires 6 arrows sequentially, like that. That's our single target setup. It's very good at sort of doing a lot of damage to something that's relatively close to you. And then we have our clear setup. And so our clear setup is all about Mirage Archer, Chain, GMP, basically just putting as many arrows on the screen as they can, making sure it hits as many different things as possible. Right? So a lot of fun. Our gear reflects that, right? You have a bow that is based around sort of pushing the level of elemental hit along with attack speed, elemental penetration, but it's got an additional arrow. Our quiver, again, bunch of crit multipliers here, additional arrow, also chance to blind here. This doesn't actually matter because we only do fire damage. So your hit streak cold resistance is 10% higher, doesn't actually matter, and we get a bunch of extra flat damage that's really nice. Here, base critical strike chance is incredibly powerful for this build. So base critical strike chance sort of pushes up the baseline of what you're doing. So I think I have like about a 60% crit after all the multipliers, which is super fun. Rings, you're looking for flat damage. This is where we get a lot of our resist and accuracy and stuff like that. You can see I'm starting to work on the elemental damage there. And we also, this is where we get our ability to actually cast our spells, right? So the Orion crafts are super important here. Gloves, these are, again, flat damage because we are spewing out so many arrows. You just, like, flat damage is actually a very good stat for us. These are your standard gripped gloves with, culling strike, attack speed, all that good jazz stuff. This is pretty boring. Like ideally, like in a perfect world, like you can see, I'm only a couple weeks into the league, so this gear isn't as good as it will eventually be. This has, nice life, some resistances. Ideally, this would be like 45% Edwa, the elemental damage with attack skills. Not having to use a fire and cold hybrid craft, so we could get something like damage while leeching, or damage while leeching is, I guess, gloves, but damage while flask is up, that kind of stuff. And boots, same deal, right? Like right now, these are just super basic boots. Eventually, these will be like Elusive Tailwind or Elusive Tailwind Onslaught. Like if the elevated mods work on the permanent version of Onslaught, which is really nice. So basically, there's a ton of things you can do with the character and a ton of sort of things you can do. Like you can see, I've got my imprinted Bow of Many. I've got an imprint that would take it back. So I'm working on the really nice bow, but that'll take some time and currency, of which I only have some. Not a lot. Oh, yeah, so blind is another defensive layer that we're using. In terms of flasks, there's nothing surprising here. It's, Dying Sun, Wise Oak, which Wise Oak is fire is my highest resistance. I'm not trying to perfectly balance or anything. You can see my chaos resistance is abysmal because we're making compromises like ordinarily, like to keep fire the highest and things like that. So right, like this would normally be a fire and chaos craft or something along those lines if we were in a perfect world. And then a Cinder Swallow for just sustain while we're mapping. So you get Diamond Flask of Warding, Bubbling Divine Flask of Staunching, and yeah. That's the long and short of it. I guess I should talk about the Zophs, because the Zophs is sort of what the build revolves around. So Zophs gives you Avatar of Fire, which means that half of your non-fire elemental damage is converted to fire, and elemental hit has a bunch of extra types of damage, right? So it can only pick fire, so we're never having that moment where we try to deal something other than fire damage, and then Avatar of Fire gets, Ash, damage penetrating fire resist, like max life, like the whole 9 yards. So it's really nice. Anyways, it's a neat build. It is absolutely fantastic for mapping. You move fast, you shoot things. You really can't ask for more when it comes to mapping. For bossing, I've struggled a fair bit. So I have died 130 times now. And I'm only 94 still. So it's definitely, you can see I've only got about 5,500 life. If you remember my other characters that are at this point, we're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go kill Awakener 8, like, or Awakener 9, as the case may be. Significantly more life. So that's the one downside of this. Like, the tree has about 170% life at endgame, and I'm being weird and using like sort of a biased, like semi-hardcore variant rather than a softcore variant. So yeah, without that in mind, I got, you can see I'm starting to fill out the Atlas a little bit, like get some of the watchstones, but we're still pretty early on. I haven't gone quite as hard this league as I did last league. So this is 2 weeks in, almost to the day. So day 16, I think. Let's fire it up.
Good to see you.
Oh, I guess I should mention Pantheon. Because we're so focused on avoidance, we actually use Lunaris all the time, and then I'm just using Rislatha. I really need to go get that. And only other thing, like, because we're focused so much on elemental hit, like, only other real skills, I'm weird in using Enduring Cry. There's Sniper's Mark, which is just your curse that does a bunch of damage. If the Frenzy Charge version of this uses Asenath's Chant. But then beyond that, there's Flesh and Stone for just like your blind and damage reduction aura, like just you live and stand stance. It's just awesome. Skitterbots for free chill and shock, and then Precision for crit and crit multi, or crit and accuracy rather, and then just an Enlightened to be able to fit it all. You can see my corrupts this league haven't been great. Like, I've only got one 21 elemental hit, so I have to keep swapping it back and forth for things like this. But anyways, let's get to it. We'll see how it goes. Awakener 7 was clean. Awakener 8 obviously will be substantially harder.
Did you really think this would work?
Sirus, please, we want to help you. Don't do anything hasty.
In terms of like how the actual league has gone, Ultimatum is quite a bit of fun. The mechanic's really cool. If you get sort of 10 in a row, you unlock this Trial Master, who's this like secret boss. The Trial Master is pretty cool. He imports sort of mechanics that you've chosen as you've pushed through the Ultimatum, so that's neat. The league had a rocky start from a technical perspective, which I think a lot of people are going to be pretty sad about, and then also from a sort of gameplay perception standpoint, a lot of the very popular things that people wanted to play were nerfed pretty hard, right? Like, if you remember last league, there was like explodey chests and stuff like that. Harvest crafting got nerfed quite substantially. So this league has really been sort of player perception wise, people have been a little bit angry, but it's really high quality. It's a lot of fun. And like obviously all the like Maven Atlas mechanics and stuff. Excited to try it out. Anyways, let's kill Sirus 8. And you can see just like how fast I move, right?
What's this? A real challenge? You've finally caught my attention.
My mana is gone.
Die.
And you can see, so that's sort of one of the challenges of the build, is that it's inherently pretty fragile, right? Like, just his auto attacks when they got through all of my layer Z defense and hit me did like 30%-ish there. We're not using flasks in phase 1 or phase 2, really, because there's no need to, and your flasks are a huge damage multiplier, right? So we don't want to burn them in phase. Oop. So that's why I have Enduring Cry, just to be something that... Whoop. Yeah, anyways. Build definitely requires a lot more concentration than the builds that I normally play. Okay. Am I trapped here? I think he's gonna come out in time. Gonna be close. Our buddy. Yep, okay, we're fine. Yeah. So ideally, I would be putting up Sniper's Mark, getting my Mirage Archer going, which applies Combustion. Okay, so we're doing... I guess we're going up here. Normally, like, this storm would not be there, so we may have to make some changes to our thing. But maybe we can just snipe him and... Yeah, we can just snipe him. Perfect. Okay. So let's not screw this up. Let's not screw our pizza cutters up. One of the... Actually, the sort of big disadvantages of moving so fast is that it's very easy to screw up the pizza cutters. Again, you can see that's like without a Quicksilver or anything. So let's unload here. One stack of the debuff. Oof. See, I dodged half of that probably. Whoops. Oh, I see. I stood in some G-Gen. Yeah. Anyways, that was on me. That was dumb. I shouldn't have done that. But, you know, as far as you guys have seen me play this fight over the years, so you've seen just exactly how ugly this can get. Yeah. That was, I think, instead of dashing down, I should have dashed to the right during the pizza cutters to give myself more space and to get away from the ground effects that were placed. And now, on the upside, I have a fresh set of flasks. Oops, yeah, that was... Walked into beams. I swear I did this without dying on Awakener 7, but... Sometimes it do be like that. And as my poor experience bar is showing you, that is just sometimes how this goes. Successfully entered. Okay, well, not great loot, but, you know, I only have Adam Tracker, so what can you do, really? But yeah, anyways, that's Awakener 8. I guess wouldn't be fair of me to kill Awakener and then not follow the gloves a little bit, right? Let's see how this goes. Any guesses? See how long this takes. Which one is this? That one might be useful for somebody. Anyways. First one. Take care, friends. Happy 3.14.